Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday, and we are back with another super fun mag project for you. I'm Saya. I'll be your host and your project lead. And I have also got our friend Mike here. If you want to say hello.
Hey guys.
He's going to be doing the project along with me and asking any questions that come up. So hopefully that will help you with your questions. So our project today are these adorable foil fish. And the reason we're using foil is you can kind of see in the reflection here that we're going to be using some mesh bags or any other kind of mesh material to add a little bit of texture to these fish to look like scales and the way that they would shine underwater. So let's get to it. The first step is to apply our watercolor background using a technique that we've done a couple times in this class, but as usual, I'll review it for you for anyone who hasn't participated in one of our online sessions yet. It is called wet on wet. And so to do a wet on wet technique, you're going to take your water and you're going to spread it over your sheet of paper. Now on this page, I'm just going to do a small portion of it because I've pre-made another page to kind of keep this thing rolling along. But as you can see, I'm using clean water, no paint in it yet. And I have wet the section of page that I'll be painting. And now I'm going to dip my brush into some of this lovely watercolor. And it's going to flow across the page just beautifully. So I'll do a little section of the page to show you how we're going to accomplish the texture that we want for this project.
Saya,
Mike, what's up?
I just have a question. Is it okay if I use a spritzer to wet my watercolor?
That is a smart and innovative tactic you can use. I'll zoom in on your screen here for a moment. Do you want to hold up the spray bottle? Yeah, check it out. So Mike has got a little shortcut technique that he's doing where he's just given his page a quick spray. And I would say that that is an acceptable way to do that if you want to hurry things up. Cool idea.
So for people who doesn't know, where can I buy this or where can I see this?
A spray bottle?
Yes.
Probably just about any big grocery store or Walmart, Superstore, dollar store. You should probably be able to find them just about anywhere. They are a fairly common object. So I'm working on getting lots of color into my background. The only thing that I've noticed with wet on wet is sometimes you need more paint to get a really nice saturated background. And for this one, I really want the color to be highly saturated. And so if you don't know what color saturation is, what it is if it is a low saturation, it's kind of going to look like this. It's not super bright. There's not a lot of pigment, which is what creates the color. Whereas our demo sheet, for instance, you can see that blue is just vibrant and there's lots of it. So that would be a high saturation of color. So I'm going to briefly take a break from my background to let it dry a little. I am managing to get a higher saturation happening though by not adding too much water to my paint palette as I add it to the page. So just keep adding. I am going to momentarily set this aside though, because the lovely thing with this project is that you can work on your fishies while your background dries and while you add some more details. So for our next step, we have a piece of foil. I'm going to pull my permanent markers in tight here, as well as my pencil and my scissors. And here's where we get to have a little bit of fun with texture. So you can use things like the bags that oranges come in when you get those from the grocery store. I'm a big fan of these mesh travel bags because they're nice and sturdy. And so I'm going to take my tin foil, shiny side up. I'm sticking it in the bag. And what I'm going to do is take my fingers, fingers, great art supplies. And I'm going to hold my foil in place and press down and just rub some texture from the bag into my tin foil. Now, there's another art supply you can use for this project called embossing foil. That would be available at art stores, but to make this project accessible for those of you at home, we just decided to use tin foil. But just for fun, I'll explain the difference between embossing foil and tin foil. So tin foil is quite a lot thinner, whereas embossing foil is thicker and will hold your textures a little more, whereas tin foil, it's a little more flimsy. However, we still get this lovely texture that looks like fish scales when we do that texture rubbing. The next step while we wait for our papers to dry is going to be to draw the shape of our little fishy friend. So I'm gonna make a big round fish. So there's our fish body shape. You can see on the camera what I've got done there. We're gonna add a fin and another fin. And then this guy's gonna have a big flowy tail because I did all my other fish with kind of pointier tails. Just checking the texture on our background there. Still needs a moment, so I'm gonna keep going. Now, the markers you want to use for this are permanent markers. I tried this with washable markers, and they just don't really want to stay on the tin foil very well, so you want to make sure you've got a nice collection of, you can use permanent Sharpies. If you don't have Sharpies, art stores like Michael's and Alberta Art and Drafting locally will offer different brands of permanent markers, so really whichever ones you like. And we can have some fun with color mixing for these little fishies. So I'm going to start with giving this guy a yellow face. That nice bright color. Mike!
I just have a question. For the markers you're going to use, for the colored markers.
Yes.
Is it okay if I use crayons?
Oh no, you're not going to want to use crayons. And the reason for that is that the pressure you're going to have to apply with crayons is going to absolutely destroy the texture that you're putting on the fish, on the tinfoil. So crayons, not going to work because they are wax-based, whereas markers are ink-based and they just sort of deposit the ink across the surface, whereas you got to really press down with crayons. So permanent markers are the way to go with this project. I think I'm going to add some nice green to my fishy friend here. And you can see that we're getting a nice color blend because unlike paper, the tinfoil doesn't absorb the ink. So you get to actually play around with color mixing a little in this project, which is lots and lots of fun. Gonna add, what other colors have we got? We've got some light blue. Kind of a greeny looking light blue, but that's okay. So we're just coloring these guys in. Now I'm gonna start adding some fin colors. This guy's looking like that fish from The Little Mermaid. I didn't intend to do that, but you know, away she goes. And for your fish, you know, you can just improvise and have fun with colors if you'd like. You don't have to really be using a reference image. However, if you do decide that you want your fish to look like something you would actually find in the ocean, feel free to open up your internet browser and look up your favorite type of fish. Maybe you're a big fan of, say, Finding Nemo, and you want to make yourself a nice clownfish and look up the colors for that. You're welcome to do so. Or maybe you have a pet fish and you want to make your fishies in your art look like your pet fish. That is something you can do as well. I'm going to add a little bit of purple here as well, just to make things fun. Oh, nice. This one I'm doing kind of looks like a betta fish for any of you who have those at home. I love the big flowy tails they have. Do I have a darker purple? Oh, no, I don't think so. That's okay. Just gonna throw a little more green and blue in the mix here because I want to. Ooh, that's not a very good blue. You can add some details to the fins, like some lines to kind of communicate motion if you want to. Kind of make it look like not just the lines in your fish's tail, but maybe the lines that you would see in your fish's tail if it was moving a certain way. You can just get real creative with these. I'm going to add some little spots to my fish because I think that makes them look fun. And now you're going to want to do, I don't know, maybe about 4 of these, 5 of these. You want to make enough to fill up your whole picture. I'm just going to demonstrate the one for you. So this is what I've got so far for my fish. How's yours looking, Mike? Do you want to hold it up for the camera?
I did this one fish.
You want to hold it a little closer so we can see? Oh, that's fantastic. That's looking really great.
Oh, thank you.
Right, so I'm going to now add the last little details to my fishy friend here. What do fish breathe with? They breathe with this lovely apparatus called gills that are kind of on the sides of their face, probably right where our jawlines would be if humans were fish. I don't know if that makes sense. And so we're going to add gills and some little eyes, or big eyes, you know, whatever makes you happy. So that's our fish. Now I'm going to briefly set my fish aside, and now I'm going to get back into some of the watercolor texture that I'd like to add to my picture. So once you have this nice background, what you can do to make it look a little bit more kind of underwater is once it's dry, any more paint that you're going to apply is going to look darker as you layer it on. So we're not doing wet on wet for this. We're just adding a little bit of water to our colors in our palette. And you can just dab your brush on there. And if you've ever seen how the sun reflects into a pool or into the ocean, if you've been swimming in the ocean, you get all these sort of like little light refractions. You get some sort of darker spots. Oh, we got a comment from Christel. Mike, Gus says your project looks fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Getting some love.
Thank you, Gus.
We appreciate the commentary. Always good to hear from folks. And so we're just going to add some detail to give us that underwater feel. And something real cool that I don't know if we've demonstrated on Mag Tuesdays / Saturdays yet is salt. Now, salt and watercolor can do some pretty cool things together. So if you sprinkle a little bit of salt while your page is still wet, what the salt is going to do is soak up a little bit of the water, and it's going to give you this really cool sort of crystalline texture on your page. So I'm going to hold that up nice and close so y'all can see it. Oh yeah. Oh, this camera's great. It really picks up that texture, and you can see how you get that sort of shiny, sort of mottled texture. So I've got a separate page prepared ahead of time to glue our fish to, and you can see what it looks like when it's dried. You're still gonna get that really cool texture. Lots of fun. I'm gonna wipe the salt off it so it's a little easier to glue my fishies down. Did everyone know that a group of fish is called a school of fish? You probably knew that already, but you know, may as well throw in some fish facts while we're doing fish art. So I'm gonna bring back the little fishy that I drew for everyone on camera here. I'm gonna take my trusty scissors. I'm gonna cut my fishy out.
Oh, Saya.
Hello.
Well, this has nothing to do with our project, but
Okay.
I have a joke.
You have a joke?
I have a joke.
Is it about fish?
It's about fish.
It's about fish.
You said earlier that fish go to school, right?
Yes.
So, here's my joke. Like, why does the fish so smart? Why is the fish so smart?
Is it because they swim in schools?
They go to a school.
Oh, that is wholesome. I love it.
But yeah, it's not very funny, please.
It's cute though. I would say that that's relevant. A little bit of humor. Fish school humor.
I just have a question again for this project, for this foil. It's so thin. Do I have to cut it really fast, like paper?
No, what you're gonna want to do is actually cut fairly slowly and take your time. The last thing you want to do is rush it, because if you rush it, you run the risk of ripping it. And we don't want to do that. Oh, whoops. I should be cutting by the camera. Sorry, everyone. Still getting used to where the things are positioned here. Okay, so there we are. I've got my fish friend cut out here. And so the last thing I need to do now is figure out where I want my fish to go on the paper. I should have drawn some facing the opposite direction, but I guess I kind of just, they're going the same way. They're all in the same school. And so once you're happy with your composition, which is where things are in your art piece, what you can then do is apply very, very carefully. You want to be super, super, super careful with this step. Is apply some glue to the back of your fish. And again, I am barely pressing the glue on these because I don't want to risk ripping them. I actually already ripped this guy's fin before we started the video, so I gotta be extra careful with him.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh is right.
Like my fish.
Oh, did you rip it?
Yeah.
Oh no. This is a good lesson in why we must be very, very careful when doing some art projects, because they can be a little fragile.
So, but I still have like two.
So you can. Oh, you still have 2 extra ones.
Yeah.
Even if you ripped him, how badly is he ripped?
The fins got ripped.
Oh, the fins came off.
Yeah.
Okay.
I cut it by accident.
So if that happens while you're working on this project, dear viewers, you can try to put both pieces onto the paper as much as you can. Try to make it look not ripped, but that's up to you. If you don't want to do that, you can always just make another tinfoil fish. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I shouldn't have drank coffee there. I just... reflexes.
Okay. Still works.
Still works?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. I like this orange fish because he looks like those fruit by the foot rolls that are orange and yellow and green.
So, Saya, how did you... Oh, okay. Like, you put the glue on the fish.
I put the glue on the fish, and the reason for that is that it's kind of hard to map out a whole fish shape on the piece of paper. And the other thing that made me choose to put the glue on the fish and not the paper is because the fins are kind of fragile, being made out of tinfoil. We don't want any little areas to come loose off of the page because that'll make them way easier to rip. So this makes sure that they are nice and secure and will stay in their ocean that we've made for them. I'm just gonna check our comments to see if anyone, oh yeah, okay, so our last comment was about the wonderful fish that Mike did. Oh, another thing that I just noticed is be careful when you're pulling your glue stick off of your foil fish too, because that is also a ripping risk. All right, there we go. There we have it, my friends. A lovely school of fish swimming in the ocean, nice and shiny like fish scales be. And do we have any last questions before we show you next week's project? I will wait just a moment to see if any comments pop up. Did you have any last questions, Mike?
I'm just curious if I, like for my paper, when it's dry, can I draw something?
Oh, if you wanted to draw things to add to it, absolutely. It's your art project. You can do what makes you happy, can't you? I'm curious, what is it you're thinking of drawing on it?
Like probably seaweeds or
yeah.
corals.
Corals, seaweeds, absolutely. That would be a great way to expand on this project. Oh, thank you. I got another comment from Christel saying she likes our fish. I would say we did some good teamwork today, Mike. Okay, so I am going to show everyone next week's project. So once again, as usual, we're going to be coming at you live at 11 a.m. And so this is going to be our project next week on Tuesday. It's called Cut Landscapes. And we're going to be working with paper cutting and layering to create these sort of lovely abstract mountains. So we're going to have lots of fun with that. To the best of my knowledge, I believe I'll be leading that project as well. So thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thanks, Mike, for being an excellent helper. And as usual, if you'd like to see any of our previous projects, you can visit www.reddeermuseum.com and visit our blog to see the instructions for this project if you felt that this was a little too short and quick for you to follow along. We can also be found on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as YouTube. So once again, thanks for tuning in. I'm Saya. I hope you all have a fantastic week.